So first up to take the award and induction for the top 1960s male skateboarder is a man who comes from the first royal family of skateboarding. Together with his multiple world champion and Hall of Famer brother Bruce and their mother Barb, they formed the Logan skateboards in their backyard. Within a very short time, they were the largest skateboard company in the world, sponsoring other legendary riders and Hall of Famers, including Torger Johnson, Woody Woodward, Tony Alva, Jay Adams, and Bob Beniak. His name is Brian Logan, and he is here with the whole Logan family, Bruce, Brad, and their sister Robin. And to induct Brian Logan into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, please help me welcome to the stage a man who really needs no introduction, another great icon of skateboarding and 2010 Hall of Famer, the first and only, and still the overall world skateboard champion, Mr. Tony Alva. Yeah, buddy.
Well, here we go, winging it again. Wow, that was a nice introduction. Dave's never gave me that much props, even though I said that bad stuff about the one-night stand. But it wasn't true. I did date her. It went for more than just one night. But this isn't about me. This is about the royal family. This is about Brad, who I had a close relationship as a teenager. And we go back to really learning how to be a professional skateboarder, which I learned a lot of things from this family. Bruce Logan, a true hero to me, a professional skateboarder, a champion. Robin Logan, the little sister, the one with the courage, the one pushing the boys to go faster down the hill because she was fast too. And last but not least, the big brother, the mentor of the entire family, basically the father of the family, because the mother was there and all the kids were there, and Brian was the one that stepped up and became that father figure. And Brian became a father figure to more than just his blood relations. He became a father figure to us all, and he became a father figure to me. And when I had no home, I lived in the little tool shed in the back of the Logan house in Encinitas. At a beautiful location, basically. I was right down the street from Swami's, you know, and it wasn't too bad, if you want to know the truth. I had my sleeping bag, my beaver tail, my beat-up surfboard, and as many skateboards and as many sets of wheels as I could go through, you know. And it was a beautiful existence and a great time, and I have to thank Brian for that. I mean, Brian was basically showing me the way, how to be professional on the board. So there I get the other side of the relationship where God opens that other door for me, and God says, step through this door. And if you come through this door, regardless of the fact that how much marijuana, smoke, and alcohol and cocaine you're living in, you might be able to actually have some clarity and see the direction that you're going in. And since this was in the 70s, I just went with the flow. And Brian was there for me. And when we take these surf trips together, all we do is we drive for thousands of miles through desolate land, and we talk about all these wonderful things that have happened in our life. And it's amazing that I can share these experiences with a man like Brian Logan. And when things get slippery, literally slippery, going to the salt flats and thinking that we're not going to make it, bouncing up and down, and Brian hitting his head on the top of the car and going, we're not going to make it, TA. And I go, fuck that, we're going to make it, punch it, Brian. And he goes as fast as he can, and we do make it. All the way to the middle of Baja. This is a true story, and it just happened just lately. These are the experiences that I have with Brian Logan. You might think that shit happened 30 years ago. That just happened 6 months ago. So it's great, you know, it's just really amazing. What I'm trying to do and trying to say to you guys is that I have a true friend in this man, and I've been blessed with this relationship because of the fact that Brian was there for me. He was there for me when I needed a sponsor. He was there for me when I came from one of the best teams of all time, regardless of what Chris Miller thinks. It was a moment of ignorance, you know, maybe in somebody's back past. There's a little justifiable resentment there. I just thought I'd bring that up. But Jeff Ho was my sponsor, and to have Brian Logan as the next sponsor was pretty amazing. So I bounced from one team to being on a team with Torger Johnson, one of my favorite and, you know, just most influential skateboarders of all time. And to be up here and be this honored to present this to Brian Logan is a highlight in my career again as well. So to go from Steve Van Doren to Brian Logan, I introduce you to Brian Logan. Love you, man. I found my mind in a brown paper bag, but then there you go, it's all you. I tripped on a cloud and fell 8 miles high.
Well, the first thing I want to say, and I know everyone in this room, no matter what generation you come from, is that skateboarding is not a crime. We all have that in common. Well, I started skateboarding a long time ago, and everyone here is talking about the 70s, and yes, I'm being inducted as a 1960s guy. That's when I started. My brother Bruce and I started, it's been about 55 years now, 1959 to 1960s when we started. And with the steel wheel, and then the clay wheel, and then we didn't have anyone to look up to. There wasn't no skateboarder magazines. There wasn't anything like that at all. It was just us and our friends around town that skate with us in Hermosa Beach. And tonight, I've got 3 of the guys from our old skateboard team, the South Bay Skateboard Club. Dick Tibbetts is here tonight, and also Biff Collins. You might remember Biff Collins. Right here. Biff Collins used to be on the Unity team in the 70s. And my friend Tom Craig. His brother is Don Craig. And also, the person who I looked up to after we were the South Bay Skateboard Club, we became the Bing Skateboard team. The guy who I looked up to, Mr. Bing Copeland, legendary surfboard manufacturer of all time from Hermosa Beach, California. I'm proud that Bing's here tonight to join us. It means a lot to me. Tom, to back up for a second to Tom Craig, Tom has some of the most collective stuff of surfboard and skate memorabilia dating back to the 1950s when he was a little kid. Him and his brother have the hugest collection of skate and surfboard memorabilia of all time. But Tom, when he was on our skateboard club, he kept his original skateboard t-shirt and jacket. And it's in mint condition. It's the only one in existence. He didn't want to bring it here tonight, so he made me a replica of the jacket. It's almost a spit image of our skateboard club team jacket back then with our Bing skateboard patch on the front of it because Bing became our sponsor. So it was really cool, Tom doing that. Thank you, Tom, very much. By about 1963, 1964, I started hanging out at the Bing Surf Shop, watching Bing manufacture surfboards, because that's what I wanted to do, is make surfboards. That's all I wanted to do when I was a kid. But I had my brother with me going there. Hello. My brother was going there with me every day after school when the surf was flat. And I couldn't have done anything in the skateboard industry without my brother Bruce, because I knew when we were little kids, he was a special skateboarder kid, and he had a lot of talent, and even all the kids growing up in the neighborhood could see his talents. Growing up in the Hermosa Beach area, it was such a time when every major surfboard manufacturer was in Hermosa Beach. And I mean, you can name it in 1 mile radius: Bing, Rick, Greg Knoll, Hap Jacobs, Dewey Weber. And then Gordon Smith even opened up a shop right on the other side of Hermosa Beach in Redondo Beach on the Coast Highway. And a guy named Dana Williams and Gail Yarborough used to run this shop. And for you GNS people out there, we were invited, me and Bruce were invited during their surf team meetings to go and hang out at their meetings and skate at the halftime of their meetings and before the meeting started. And we ended up doing these demonstrations because they thought we were pretty good skateboard kids, and we got all these surfers from back then really interested in skateboarding. And a lot of people think in the 1960s there was nothing but a couple of big contests. But there were a lot more things going on than people even realize. There was just a lot going on. But it's just not all well documented. You know, it's kind of sad. There's just not like lots of pictures of all this stuff out there. But it is what it is. But it was really a neat era to grow up in. And then by the time 65 came around, you had the biggest contest of the 60s. Then skateboarding died. I left, came to Encinitas, started making surfboards again down there, hooked up with the guy in 1971, about 1972, one of the best shapers ever to shape surfboards by the name of Donald Takayama. He passed away a couple years ago. Donald and I started manufacturing surfboards together down there, and pretty soon, within a couple years, we were doing 75 surfboards a week, which is a lot of surfboards to do back in that time. It still is a lot of surfboards to do a week nowadays, all custom boards. Then by 73, my mother moved to Encinitas. I bought her a house. By 75 is when we started our business. And then we were going out to La Costa, skating out there, and seeing everyone else making boards at that time were all flexible boards. And we're going, what's the deal with all this flex? You know, flex boards don't work good like wood boards did in the 60s. So we went to the backyard, built the shed where Tony lived for a while, and for about 2 months, me and Bruce were building boards in the back of the shed. We were doing about 50 boards a week. We thought that was big time. That was about a $3,000 investment. That lasted about a month and a half, 2 months. And then before long, after that first year, we did over $1 million from a $3,000 investment. So it just grew like, I just couldn't believe. Businesses just don't start like that anymore, but to get a very successful skateboard business now, you better have, 6 figures, way more than that, 7 figures in your pocket. But that's all it took back then. Then when we found out about the first big contest in the 1970s, the Bain Cadillac, is when we got Woody Woodward. Woody Woodward got Torger Johnson. Torger Johnson brought on Danny Bear. Danny Bear found Laura Thornhill. And then Torger Johnson brought on Tony Alva. Tony Alva brought on Jay Adams. And then the rest of it just all snowballed. And it was just, the whole industry was growing like leaps and bounds every other day. It was incredible. It was amazing what was going on during that time. And I want to thank, the few people I want to thank is anyone and everyone that's ever been one of our boards, number one. And I know there's a number of you that grew up on them in here. I thank you for all buying our boards and riding our boards through the years. And I want to thank my skateboard team, because it was all you guys too, and girls that were with us back then that made us who we were. And I also want to thank one particular skater who was the most loyal skater of anyone that ever skated for us, and just such a class guy, and he died a long time ago. No, it wasn't Tony Alva. Mr. Torger Johnson. He was a class guy, and Torger was the first of all the legends to die back in 1982 in Hawaii in a car accident. He was really a classy guy. I also want to thank my family, and I also want to thank the Hilton family, Baron Hilton in particular, for not coming back from the 1960s and coming in the 1970s, because the Hilton family could have owned this industry for decades if they would have. Think about it. They could have very easily, but I guess they were buying too many hotels during the 1970s. So they didn't come back, but I kept looking over my shoulder waiting for Davey and Steve to show up, but they didn't. So anyways, and the last person I want to thank, and the most important person of all, is my mother. My mother was the best partner I could ever had. My mother took every skater from our team and opened up her front door, like Tony, like all of them. And every day of the week, there was 3 and 4 and 5 skaters sleeping over every night. She was feeding them, taking care of them, and it was just going on week after week after week, even up to when my mother passed away. 2 months before she passed away, she was taking care of the kids next door to her that didn't have much money, and she could barely walk and barely move, and she's making them food, bringing it to them. That's the kind of woman my mother was. And many of you people out here knew her, and the kind of lady she was one of a kind. I love you, Mom. And this is for you. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Mr. Brian Logan. Thanks, buddy. Good job. Good job. Love you, man. Mr. Brian Logan.